Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really strange and fascinating idea. It's one that connects a super famous science puzzle, a really old prophecy, and believe it or not, the choices you make every single day. Okay, let's just jump right in with a huge question, and it might sound a little weird at first. Are your choices really yours? I mean, seriously, think about it. This morning, you probably picked out what clothes to wear. You chose what to eat for breakfast. That was you doing the choosing, right? Or was it? We all feel like we're the ones in charge of our lives, kind of like we're in the driver's seat, making all the turns. But the idea we're going to explore today asks this really wild question. What if some of those choices you feel like you're making aren't quite as real as they seem? Now, that feeling of being in control, it has a special name. People call it free will. It's one of the biggest ideas anyone has ever thought about. It basically means that your life is like a book, and you are the one holding the pen. You get to decide what the next sentence is, and the next page, and even the next chapter. You're the captain of your own ship. This idea of being able to choose is so powerful that people have been talking about it for thousands of years. You can even find it in really old books like the Bible, where a famous line tells people to choose life. It's talked about like it's this super important power that everyone has. But that leads us to the weird puzzle we're looking at today. What if that amazing power, the power to truly choose your own path, isn't something everyone actually gets? To really get our heads around this mind-bending idea, we first need to look at something called a thought experiment. Now, a thought experiment isn't done in a lab with bubbling chemicals. It's an experiment you do completely inside your imagination to figure out a tough question. And this one was dreamed up by a scientist named Schrödinger. Okay, so let's build this strange experiment in our minds. First, picture a cat. Now, imagine putting that cat inside a super strong, sealed box. Close the lid. We can't see in, we can't hear in, we know nothing about what's going on inside. Now, here comes the tricky part. Inside that box, there's also a little bit of poison, and that poison is hooked up to a special trigger. And that trigger is controlled by something incredibly tiny and totally random, like a microscopic coin being flipped. If it lands on heads, the poison is released. If it lands on tails, nothing happens, and the cat is totally fine. The most important part is that it's a perfect 50-50 chance, and there's absolutely no way for us to know which way that tiny coin landed. So, this is the big, important question. While that box is closed, what's going on with the cat? Is it a happy, living cat purring away, or is it a very not living cat? What do you think? Get ready, because the answer is one of the weirdest things in all of science. A very strange and powerful field of science called quantum physics says that as long as that box stays closed, the cat isn't just alive or dead, it is somehow, impossibly, both. At the exact same moment, the cat is 100% alive and 100% dead. I know, your brain is probably screaming, that's impossible. How can something be two opposite things at the exact same time? But that is the whole point of this crazy puzzle. This totally bizarre both at one state actually has a cool scientific name. It's called superposition. The easiest way to think about it is to imagine you flip a coin. While that coin is spinning in the air, what is it? Is it heads? Is it tails? Well, you could say it's in a state of both possibilities at the same time. It's only when the coin lands and you look at it, when you observe it, that it's forced to become one or the other. That is exactly what science says is happening to our cat. As long as the box is shut, the cat is in superposition, a weird, blurry mix of both alive and dead. It's only when we open the box to check that reality has to pick a side, and the cat becomes either alive or dead. Okay, so just hold that bizarre idea about the cat in your mind for a second. The idea that something can be in a blurry, undecided state until you look at it. Because now we're going to take a huge jump to a totally different kind of puzzle. This one comes from a mysterious, ancient book. We're going to see how some people think this weird science idea might actually connect to a secret number from the Bible's book of Revelation. This book talks about a very specific number of people who are set apart from everybody else, and that number is 144,000. Not a little more, not a little less, exactly 144,000. The book says these people were sealed. Now, in this context, being sealed is kind of like being marked or chosen for a special purpose. Think of it like a king in an old movie pressing his ring into hot wax to put his official seal on a letter. That mark means the letter is important, it's special, it's protected. Well, these 144,000 people are marked as special in the same way. Okay, this is where it all starts to come together. So we have a cat that is somehow both alive and dead at the same time, and we have this secret number of people chosen for a special destiny. What on earth could these two things possibly have to do with each other? This is where the whole theory makes its wild connection. It takes that science puzzle about the cat and it aims it right at us, at people. It asks this: what if your feeling of free will is just like that cat in the box? What if, for most people, every single choice you make is in a state of superposition, a state where it feels totally real to you, but at the exact same time, it's also just an illusion? Part of a story that has already been written? This chart right here really breaks down the connection this theory is trying to make. So on the left, you've got the cat. Its fate is unknown, right? It's in that weird superposition of alive and dead until we observe it. Then reality collapses and it becomes one or the other. Now look at the right side. The theory says our choices work the same way. For most of us, our choices only seem real, but the final outcome is already set. So our choices are in their own kind of superposition. They feel like a real choice, but they're also an illusion. And just like the cat's reality collapses when the box is opened, the theory says our pre-written destiny only becomes clear at the very end of the story. So here it is, the main claim of this whole strange idea. For almost everyone on Earth, that feeling of making a choice is just that. A feeling, an illusion. Their story is already written from start to finish. But for those 144,000 sealed people, their choices are totally real. They have genuine free will. Their decisions can actually change how their story ends. To make this whole idea way easier to understand, let's use an example you probably know really, really well. Let's just imagine for a second that our whole world, all of reality, is just one giant, super advanced video game. In pretty much every video game you've ever played, there are two kinds of characters, right? There's you, the player. You're the one making choices, driving the story forward. And then there's everyone else, the characters who run the shops or give you quests or just walk around town. Those are called NPCs, or non-player characters. They look and sound like they're making their own decisions, but they're not. They're just following a program, saying the lines that they were coded to say. So here's where the video game idea clicks with that mysterious number. The theory asks this: what if all the millions and millions of people who weren't sealed are basically NPCs? What if they're living their lives making what feel like totally real choices to them, but they're actually just part of the game's programming? Just background characters whose actions are all part of a script designed to help the real players, the 144,000, on their adventure. You know, if you start looking for it, you can actually see little hints of this illusion of choice all around us. Think about your TikTok or YouTube feed. You feel like you're choosing what to watch next, but really, a super smart computer program called an algorithm has already studied you and is feeding you exactly what it knows you'll probably click on. Or think about going to the store to buy a soda. You see this whole wall of different brands, and you feel like you have a ton of choices. But if you look it up, you'll find out that a lot of those different-looking brands are all owned by the same one or two giant companies. So how much of a choice did you really have? The theory says these are like tiny clues to a much, much bigger illusion that's happening all the time. In a way, this entire theory is kind of a modern version of an old idea from the Bible called a strong delusion. It's the idea that it's possible for people to be 100% sure that they are in control and seeing the world exactly as it is, when really they're living inside a kind of illusion, part of a bigger plan they don't even know exists. It's like an NPC in a video game who has no idea that it's an NPC. So, wow, we've been on quite a journey, haven't we? We started with a thinking cat in a box, jumped to a secret number from an ancient book, and landed right back here with the YouTube videos and the clothes you choose to wear every day. Let's just put this whole puzzle together one last time. We've explored a really wild theory that tries to build a bridge between two totally different worlds, the weird rules of quantum science and the ancient prophecies of Scripture. And what this theory suggests is that true, powerful, story-changing free will isn't something everyone just gets. It might be an incredibly rare gift, maybe only for a specific number of people. And for everyone else, well, their experience of life might be more like being a character in a movie or a video game, following a beautiful and complicated and exciting script that has already been written for them. Now, the point of all this wasn't to tell you that this theory is true. It's just a really fascinating and strange idea that connects some dots in a very unusual way. But it does leave us with one final huge question to think about. In the giant video game of the world, are you a player with the power to change the story, or are you an NPC playing your part perfectly?
Are your choices really your choices, or are you just following an amazing script? That's something to chew on. Thanks for watching.